Good afternoon. You're watching the WD live stream. This is Face to Face. I'm Linda Givetash, a freelance journalist, and with me this afternoon is Sophie Grégoire Trudeau, one of the influencers here at Women Deliver, also the wife of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Sophie, thank you for joining me.
I want to be here. I'm happy. This is so energizing and empowering.
So what brings you here?
Well, what brings me here? So many reasons, but I'm a Women Deliver influencer, and I've been invested in gender equality and women's and girls' self-esteem and rights for more than 15 years now as a public speaker. And I'm a mom of 3, and I have a daughter and 2 boys, and I'm married to a feminist. I think almost the world knows it now, but what people might not know is that he married a feminist who made sure she was marrying a feminist. So it's been quite a path. I feel very fortunate to be here, and I've been meeting, girls, boys, mothers, fathers, just people who leading their own individual lives who really believe that individual change can affect the collective, and I truly believe that.
And so as an influencer, how are you trying to influence other people in terms of feminism and that message?
I don't think that I don't move from a place that I want to try to influence. I think that I want to share from my experience what I've gone through in my own life to be able for others to see themselves maybe in a fortunate light and in their true potential. I suffered from eating disorders when I was younger, and the moment I started sharing my story, my whole life changed. When you live from the inside where you feel that you can find a home in other people's hearts, when you feel that you're more similar than different to other human beings, I think your whole relationship to the universe and to other people changes and really transforms. And from meeting people, especially youth, I've been finding out that there's no real transformation without crisis. Somehow we've got to break open. We've got to look at ourselves truthfully. As a society and as an individual, I think it's the best gift you'll ever give yourself, is to be able to be truthful with yourself. Sometimes it hurts, to see ourselves as we truly are. And I think this whole conference is also kind of a mirror with the data, the research, the facts, all the knowledge that we're sharing, because there's collaborators coming from everywhere on the planet, living different lives and leading, through different identities, but we're all humans. And we are all born to be able to understand, love ourselves and understand and love others, but life happens, and fear happens, and anxiety happens, and division happens. And I think that this conference is really about uniting our efforts and knowing that we can't be unseparated in a fractured world. We are called to unite even more, to be able to understand what's happening to us and how we can build a more just and equal society and planet, really.
Right. And throughout the conference, many people have said that, look to Canada as a leader when it comes to this issue. How do you feel about that when you hear from other people looking at Canada and saying, this is a great example of when it comes to women's equality?
Well, literally, I mean, my husband is in a position of leadership. We see leadership as a responsibility, as an offering to the world, instead of, leadership in our society today is very much defined by, the awards or the titles or the medals, of what you have achieved. And little anecdote, I have friends who are Olympic champions who put their medals in their sock drawers because, your realizations, your titles, it gives you a reputation within a certain market. But is that who you are? And when you take all of that away, your roles, whether you're a parent, you're an aunt, you're a friend, you're a doctor, whatever you are in your life, when you take all that away, who's left? I think this reality check we all need to have. I think we're very bound to what we have learned, and it's difficult to unlearn in our society. Our minds are always so full. We live chaotic lives, and as a yogi, I know you're a yogi too, so I try to practice perspective and distance from everything I think I know. I don't think it's a healthy place as a society to settle in certainty, but I do think that as governments and in the position that we are right now, that my husband is right now, we need to look at the facts and the truth and the data to make sure that we make decisions based on those instead of personal beliefs. I think that truths and facts should come before beliefs when it comes to being responsible for the lives of so many people in what we are doing.
Right. And then talking about those facts, well, Canada is being seen as leader. We're not perfect, and we're far from that. Are there issues here at home that you would like to see some change and some growth when it comes to raising women up?
All the time, and so does my husband. This is just a start, and we are setting benchmarks, whether it's affordable housing for vulnerable women and their families, affordable childcare, the feminist assistance policy. So everything we do and all the decisions that this government is making is through a gender lens, intersectionality lens. It's super important. Whether it's encouraging women entrepreneurs, whether it's encouraging women and girls to go into science and STEM and fields in which they weren't really welcome before, to push them, and they have all the capacities to do it. We've been working a lot also on helping the middle class and so many mothers who are still in charge and are the nucleus of the family. And it's proven that when you do allocate more money and give money to a family, the mother who is still making the majority of the decisions will spend it for the better and well-being of her children. So we have been doing that with the child benefit program, so giving more money at the end of the month for families to reach both ends, because there are so many families who are struggling. And under the federal umbrella now, we passed a legislation, and this is historic because we demand under all federal regulated organizations that equal pay, equal work for men and women. And also sexual harassment with zero tolerance and more means to be able to talk, feel safe when talking about what's happening in your professional life or personal life, whatever it is, to address these issues that are quite pervasive and that have become kind of normal with the years in a very patriarchal system. And so many people are suffering. But again, we must create a safe space where when one person tells his or her story, it allows for other people to do the same. So we need more work on equal pay, equal work. We need more work on childcare and housing for mothers. There's so much more we can do. But I think that we've also announced, we're having this interview now, but we've announced, it's pretty big, the 1.4 billion from now until 2023-24 for maternal health, and 700 million now specifically for sexual reproduction rights. And we know right now that when we're looking at the planet, Canada's doing so much, but we are not invincible to divisive forces and to regressing on the path where women do not have the full freedom of choosing what to do with their own bodies. And this is it's a very important topic and issue and right. So we must not let go. We must fight even harder, and we must push forward. And this is what we're doing. And we also just announced through Minister Monsef, who went from, she changed status of woman into wage, which is women and gender equality, which is now our full department, a 300 million fund. So the private sector will be able to, and this is an endowment that the federal government right now in Canada is giving 300 million, so that private sector, who are always saying, we want to invest, how do we do this? They put their money there, and there's an apolitical group who will decide how the money will be spent to be able to maximize it and to be able to help out as many groups as possible. So this is a base. It's where we're starting. There are years ahead, hopefully, where we can do more work. So we'll see where this brings us.
These are all, great solutions and changes that, it seems that you're championing for sure. But, a lot of people might be sitting at home and watching this, especially watching the live stream, or sitting at home thinking, well, this is great, or this is government action, but this is all outside of my hands. I'm not a politician. I'm a mom. I'm a teacher. What can I do to make a difference? These are things beyond me. So what do you think individuals can do? What do you yourself do?
I'm an individual. My husband is an individual. We weren't in politics before, and we have so many friends who want to make a difference and who don't have this platform like I have right now, just because I have a public profile or whatever. Little baby steps. And when I talk to young people, it's so important. The little things you do in your life have a ripple effect. And whether you're getting invested in your community, at your library, in your classroom, whether you're having a discussion to shift a paradigm or to shift a conversation or to push an envelope with your own parents. Sometimes people don't find allies in their own families. So it's difficult for them to say, you know what, I'm going to use my voice and change the world. When it's not in your own family unit, these people have to know that there are allies along the way everywhere. And this is true. And this is one of the things that I've been realizing in the past 15, 20 years by telling my story and meeting people, is that there are allies everywhere. We're just waiting for everybody to join in because we want to help.
As a mom, how are you taking some of this action and just bringing it into your own home?
I love the fact that you're saying action because no matter what I say, blah, 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 my children, I have
Yeah.
a talking mom, it's what I do. My children look at me, they see how I interact with people, how I look at them in the eyes, how I feel inside my heart, my spirit, my mind when I connect with another human being. Children have a good nose for, should I say BS or fake? I think that they're incredible creatures and that we cannot longer go on with fake attitudes or detached attitudes. We're living in a very fragmented world. We must unite. This is an age of union. We must organize better. And people who want to see more similarities in other human beings than they want to see differences, because that's the truth, is that we're more alike than we're different. And as parents, I think it's more how we act than what we say. But of course, I say this, but language is extremely important. And how we talk about others, how we talk about ourselves, self-love, self-care, self-respect. Kids are hearing us. They're feeling us. And the more integrity we build within ourselves, I think that kids feed off of that as well. So we should be quite careful and responsible for how we hold ourselves and how we talk about other people, especially between women. We should have our backs. We should be our own allies.
Given all the divisiveness, are you still hopeful that things will be better once your kids are our ages now? And they're adults?
In what way? For them or for the
for
society?
for society as well, and the society they'll be living in and leading in.
You're asking someone who's seeing kind of a way like a behind the scene and also meeting people who are struggling. So I see a lot of different realities on my path, and I'm thankful for that because it gives me more perspective and more knowledge, really, to be able to feel the world, see the world. And yeah, it's you know what? To be honest, it's and I understand if anybody feels a little bit ironic or apathetic for a moment because the world is chaotic and it's spinning, and they are divisive forces. But you and I wouldn't be here if goodness hadn't prevailed in many ways. And this is not a naive point of view. It is an intrinsic nature. If you ask a human being, how are you? 99.9% of human beings will have the thought of wanting to be better. We are born wanting to tend towards better being. And I think that we have to speak to these better angels of our nature. Fear and division are the enemy to union and oneness and being rooted in what unites us. So I think we need to know what we need to focus on, but we need to be very organized and unite our efforts to make sure that we confront the winds of division and that we are solidly rooted to be able to face them.
Are there any key takeaways that you're hoping to learn in this conference in the next few days?
I learn all the time. I want to be a lifelong student. I'm seeing youth, and you know what? I met a mother not too long ago, just hanging out at the conference, walking into a hallway, and she has a 9-year-old daughter who's super interested in politics. I wasn't interested in politics at 9 years old. I think that we are building a world where we're asking youth to voice up, and Canada has historically put up the first youth council, which advises the Prime Minister on what are their struggles. Where do they want to see society doing better? And we have to keep listening. And I think that deep listening is a human quality that we need to cultivate more and more because it allows us to build bridges, right? Instead of creating separateness and distance between ourselves. So I would say that the biggest thing we can take out from this conference is actually listening deeply and creating bridges and just not being afraid of being vulnerable, not being afraid of shattering in a way. There's no evolution without crisis, and we have to understand that what comes before us is never, never as strong as what lies within us. There's space for positivity. Negativity will bring us nowhere. I choose to be positive.
On that note, in terms of positivity, I'll leave it there. But thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, Linda.
Looking forward to seeing what else you get up to.
Oh, there's more. Thank you.
All right, cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks.